Whether he's jumping from a plane, climbing the Burj Khalifa, or piloting a helicopter, Tom Cruise puts his life on the line for our entertainment. And leading up to the release of Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning, let's break down the craziest stunts that this madman, movie star, the greatest person to ever live, has ever done.
What's up, movie friends? Welcome back to Raiders of a Lost podcast, the ultimate film and TV podcast. Greatest person to ever live. It's hard to deny. This man has risked it all just to make us enjoy a couple hours of escapism every year or so at the movie theaters. And Tom Cruise, in my opinion, and I think you can agree, James, is the greatest movie star ever to exist. And I don't see anyone that can top him. And not only did he have an incredible dramatic and artistic and creative career in the first 10 years of his life as an actor, but he snowballed that into the most remarkable action movie career as not just a performer, but also a producer. And if you watch any of his movies, like behind the scenes of the Mission Impossible movies, he is basically co-directing all of these movies. He's working and collaborating with all of his directors, whether it be Doug Liman, Chris McQuarrie, and a bunch of the other people he's worked on making these gigantic films with over the last 20 years. And as a producer on Mission Impossible, coming up with the amazing stunts, envisioning these jaw-dropping, earth-defying sequences, this all comes from him. And I think that it's an incredible thing, and we can't wait to celebrate him.
Yeah, Tom's more than just an actor and a stunt actor. He's a filmmaker at the end of the day, and he's a storyteller, and he tells stories so well, and he's very hands-on with the story and action sequences that are going on in the films. And like Anthony said, see some behind-the-scenes stuff. He's very much involved with what the camera's doing and what the sequence is looking like and what it means to the audience. So he's an integral part to every film he's in. He's not just a plug-and-play actor, a stunt actor. He's more than that, and he's built the most remarkable career in cinema for sure. And I'm so excited for Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. It's getting some early buzz, a few mixed reviews here and there. I've seen people give it 5 stars on Letterboxd. I've seen people give it 2.5 stars on Letterboxd. A couple early screenings have revealed some things, but I know this movie's going to be a banger. It's going to be the biggest action movie ever made from a practical standpoint. And who better to do it than Tom Cruise? We'll find out if it's going to be the final time Ethan Hunt runs on our screens in a dead sprint.
I guess you can't say he wears a cape. Last time he wears a cape or wears a cowl, but last time he wears a harness, maybe?
No, it's not going to be last time because he's going to be doing it. It's the last time he works at IMF. That's what it's going to be.
Okay.
It's the last time he's going to accept the mission. Hopefully not, but we'll see. But we might as well just jump into these stunts, and so there's obviously going to be
Can I stop you real quick?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Real quick. We're not going to cover any stunts from The Final Reckoning because we don't know exactly what these are going to be completely. So we're going to wait till we watch the film before we cover those stunts.
And there is information out there, so be careful of spoilers so you don't spoil the stunts for you. Like the biplane stunt, definitely there's detailed information about that. But that's a good point. We won't spoil Final Reckoning stunts, as well as there'll be a lot of Mission Impossible, but you'll be surprised to hear some other movies even talking about The Last Samurai, Days of Thunder, all kinds of stuff, because he's been doing his own stunts for a very long time, and he's dedicated his entire life to it.
It's funny. I watched this clip going on the research for this episode. I watched a clip of Night and Day and the motorcycle chase sequence in that film, and there's so much green screen, so much CGI, and so much of people shooting the cars and motorcycles in green screen sound stages. I think that Tom, after doing things like that, is like, I never want to do it that way again. And I think that seeped into the Mission Impossible movies in an amazing way, where you get the realistic action, these incredible motorcycle sequences. And I think that he learned the error of the ways sometimes with movies like that to really do it for real in his other films.
Yeah, and we're even going to talk about The Mummy as well. There's going to be so much to talk about. Let's break down, starting off with probably the most dangerous stunt he's ever done in his entire career, and it's the motorcycle cliff jump from Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1 from 2023. Now, in this film, Ethan's being pursued by enemies and has to find his way off a mountain onto a moving train, so he has to take his bike and jump it off of a cliffside, and this is in Norway, and then parachute down on top of the train. Now, Tom Cruise did this for real. He cruised on a modified motocross bike, custom built off of driving off a 2,000-foot cliff in Norway, launching off the edge at 60 miles per hour. Now, they built the ramp, and then they used CGI to make the ramp look like a cliff edge in a mountain. This sequence was filmed in a couple of incredible ways, with the helicopter following and leading Tom from behind and then watching him fall, and then a few other side angles as well. And this is crazy because this is Tom Cruise. He's not on a wire. He's really doing this with this motorbike, jumping off, riding 60 miles per hour off a cliff, free falling, and then using a parachute to land safely and float down to the bottom of the ground. Well, not float, but just to fall slowly onto the ground. It's absolutely one of the most stunning visuals I've ever seen in a film. And I remember leading up to this, there's a lot of mixed reactions of spoiling this stunt in the trailer. For a lot of people, it didn't have the same punch they were expecting if it was a surprise stunt. But also when we watched it in the theaters, I remember I've never heard a theater so quiet you could hear a pin drop before. Because as soon as he was gearing up for the jump, everyone was dead silent, and they dropped the music, they dropped the sound effects, except for really wind when he's in the air. It really was a special moment, and it took a ton of training as well. He did 500 skydives and 1,300 motocross jumps to prepare for this for months and months and months on end, as well as lots of training doing the rigs with wires. So they trained with it several times at the location with the ramp wired until they felt very comfortable and were ready to do it. And Tom performed the jump 6 times to get the shot.
I love the behind the scenes of the first time he did it, and then he comes back. He's like, I could do it better.
It's just incredible.
I know what you mean about some people complain that the trailer gave it away, but it's the money shot. They have to put it in the trailer to market this movie. But also, they never showed in the trailer how long the drop was. And the camera held for, I think it was 5 seconds we watched him drop from overhead. And it was so incredible just to see him fall that great distance for so long. And it felt like an eternity. And like I agree, the entire cinema went dead quiet. It was a remarkable piece of a moment in a movie, and I'll never forget it. It was absolutely astounding.
What's really cool about it, it was also on the first day of production of Dead Reckoning Part 1, and it's the first thing they shot for that movie. It's also the most dangerous stunt he's ever done.
That way, if he dies, Paramount doesn't have to shell out all the money for the movie. They could save some money if Tom dies.
Yeah, they saved $200 million if he dies.
So I get that. I understand that. They should have saved it for last, though. Or maybe they want to start with a bang.
I feel like get the most complex thing done out of the way. Because it takes so much time to prepare. Because it's not just morale. It's just because they're prepping up until the shot, until they're rolling cameras. So it took months and months. So you have to do that first for insurance purposes, but also just to get it over with so you can focus on the rest of the movie.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Real quick, before we continue, check out this amazing Final Reckoning poster over my right shoulder of Tom Cruise. This was provided by our incredible sponsor, movieposters.com. Use our code Raiders10 today at checkout to get 10% off, and also use our affiliate link, which is in the episode description of this podcast.
All right, next up, one of the craziest things a human being has ever done for a movie is the famous Burj Khalifa climb, a Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, which came out all the way in 2011. Oh my God. Incredible stuff. This is before McQuarrie took the helm, and we have Brad Bird taking the helm as director of the franchise, and he did a really good job with Ghost Protocol. And this is the moment where Ethan Hunt in the film is trying to infiltrate the server room down below, down on the 130th floor of the Burj Khalifa to intercept the nuke.
It's called Khalifa, Burj Khalifa.
Burj Khalifa.
I know you always say Khalifa,
Thanks,
but it's Khalifa.
That sounds better. And so he has to traverse the glass exterior of the building. And Tom Cruise really did this for real. He was strapped in. He was secured by a harness and cables, which were later digitally erased. The two big moments are when he does the run down the facade, and then also impressively swinging across the entire face of the building in multiple directions. This was also filmed with IMAX cameras, and if you remember in the scene, as Tom is stepping onto the edge of the window, the frame opens from widescreen to the IMAX film format, which is really incredible and really added to the beautiful sweeping shots and being able to capture Tom Cruise's tiny figure against the massive structure, really giving a sense of scale for how big the building is. Tom Cruise trained for weeks to master climbing techniques, and build the upper body strength needed to hang from the building. He also practiced in a mock glass wall to simulate the Burj Khalifa surface and test the suction gloves. I want to see what this guy's fucking training warehouse is like. Like, for whatever stunt he's doing, he and his team build like contraptions or motorized things or flight simulators. And it's just amazing to think like he and his team are building like a fake wall to emulate the surface. It's incredible.
Well, it's smart. You have to prepare for what you're going into, and even including having wind blowing on Tom while he's doing the training on the fake facade that they build themselves. So you have to prepare for the day of by incorporating every element that you're going to face when you're doing the stunt.
And they had no nets for safety. They tried to do nets, but they figured it was too high. So for backup for safety, they had double rigging. So redundant rigging, just in case one line broke for some reason. He was always strapped in with the second one.
Let's talk about the next incredible stunt. And this is from Mission Impossible Fallout, which is going to have a lot in this list. Now, in the helicopter chase sequence, Ethan Hunt is chasing down Walker, played by the man himself, Henry Cavill, with a helicopter, and Tom Cruise, playing Ethan, is actually operating this. And this is going to have a two-part section, the stunt, because this whole sequence has two of the most incredible stunts ever put on film. And in order to do this, Tom Cruise actually flies an Airbus H-125 helicopter at low altitudes in narrow alley and valleyways, dodging cliffs as well as turbulent winds. This has also a 360 filming quality to it, which is really incredible. Now, not only is Tom Cruise operating and flying a helicopter, but he's also operating the cameras that are mounted to the helicopter. He's checking his positions as an actor for placement of his face, his hands, everything, to make sure he's got a good angle, is being picked up well. I mean, everything, even the rule of thirds he's got going on here. All at the same time is operating this while also performing an incredibly dangerous and difficult helicopter maneuver, a 360-degree corkscrew dive. It's so impressive because it shows how incredible Tom Cruise is at multitasking on so many different levels. You're flying a helicopter, operating cameras, acting, checking camera placement, checking camera maneuverability, making sure everything's working while chasing another helicopter, coordinating with the other pilots, doing a 360 corkscrew dive. It's absolutely insane, all done in continuous shots because you can't really do that many takes because once you get going, it's just a continuous sequence. And it took a ton of training. Tom Cruise, of course, had to get a helicopter pilot license, but he had to log over 2,000 hours over a course of months of piloting. Absolutely insane. One of the craziest things you'll ever see. In, I think Mission Impossible Fallout will probably go down as the greatest action movie of all time over the course of the next several decades. And I think sequences like the helicopter stunt are a fact of why that will happen.
And how they filmed it with the rigging the cameras to the helicopters, it's just incredible because they're not using CGI or drones or impossible camera shots. It's like the only way to capture it is to strap it to the helicopter in various angles, and it just adds to the realism. So remarkable.
But even before he's flying the helicopter, Anthony, why don't you get into the stunt that precedes it immediately?
We got the helicopter long line. This happens right before the big sequence with the helicopters. And this is where Tom Cruise's Ethan Hunt somehow has to get on top of that. He has to stop Henry Cavill's helicopter with a different helicopter. How does he do that? He's going to climb up the rope where there's a payload on the second helicopter. Now, this is the long line stunt that sees Tom Cruise climb this as the helicopter is ascending upwards of 2,000 feet high. He has to climb over the rope, hand over hand, at this altitude with intense winds from both nature and the helicopter in order to secure the nuclear detonator. He climbed the rope at high altitude and simulated this with wind conditions in different areas and also had to obviously build up his upper body strength and grip, practicing rope climbs in controlled environments, and also simulated similar wind and motion for the environments. Tom Cruise was secured with the harness, but the harness was designed to be invisible on camera, so they didn't have to CGI it out, maintaining the illusion of unassisted climbing, and I think it really helped with behind-the-scenes videos to show that he was really doing it without a bunch of rope strapped to him. On top of this, McQuarrie and the stunt coordinator, Wade Eastwood, described the long line stunt as one of the most logistically challenging in the entire franchise. That's saying something. And they spent months planning using 3D models of the terrain to map the helicopter paths to ensure Cruise's safety. They wanted him to use a double, but Tom Cruise insisted on performing the stunt himself, rejecting the use of a stunt double, and he trained to climb this rope in under 30 seconds in order to match the scene's pacing, which means you don't have to cut around and try and capture it all in one take if you can, despite the physical exhaustion. So imagine climbing up that rope in under 30 seconds while the helicopter's rising, and you're already at a high altitude from that environment, and then you're getting higher and higher, plus all the wind and drag. It's absolutely insane.
Plus, he's a 54-year-old man at the time of doing that, which is bonkers to me. Bonkers. And I know a lot of these big spectacle stunts are common in the MI franchise lately, but you all know Anthony and I absolutely adore the first Mission Impossible. It's one of our favorite in the franchise from Brian De Palma in 96. And this movie features, I think, probably one of the more iconic stunt sequences ever put on film that doesn't have a massive danger factor like piloting a helicopter or jumping off a cliff. And it's the CIA vault, which was so memorable. Culturally, everyone knows about this scene. It's one of the best in the film and in the franchise in general because of the difficulty, but also the suspense built with it of Ethan having to try to hack into this computer where if he touches the ground or the temperature in the room increases, then an alarm will go off, so he has to come in through an air duct at the ceiling. And Tom did this all for real. And it was so complex and difficult, this almost didn't happen. I know it probably doesn't look as challenging as, the motorcycle jump off a cliff, but it absolutely is in so many different ways. He's really being suspended from the ceiling on a harness on the soundstage, performing these incredibly precise and difficult movements without touching the floor, which requires a ridiculous amount of strength and control of every muscle in your body. Just think about when he's 6 inches off the ground, body completely flat. How long do you think you could actually hold that in your position right now? I don't know how long I could hold that, if I could even hold it. And they had to do some tricks like put coins in his shoes to help keep his balance. And obviously the risk here isn't as great for a fatality, but the difficulty is still there. Just because it's not as dangerous doesn't mean it's not as hard.
Tom Cruise said that the coins in his shoes were a last-minute attempt on the final take. Brian De Palma wasn't satisfied because they weren't getting it right, so he was, after 6 takes or so, Brian De Palma said, we're just going to cut around it and work with the editing to kind of cheat what we can't pull off. And Tom Cruise asked for one more take and said he could do it. And then that's the take where he put coins in his shoes and was able to perfectly balance for the scene. And after that take, they were able to move on, satisfied with getting it. So it was literally the last take of doing it.
I love that scene.
So it's a great stunt because it's the best stunt storytelling wise. That sequence tells an incredible story. The ups and downs of it, incredible suspense like you mentioned. So that's why I think that stunt is so incredible and iconic and untouchable, in my opinion. All right, next up. Let's step away from the Mission Impossible franchise for just a little tiny bit. And we have one of Tom Cruise's more recent swing and misses, kind of, in 2017 with The Mummy, an okay adaptation of the original Universal horror classic. This one has, however, an incredible zero-gravity fight scene in a real NASA plane. And as Cruise fights in the crashing cargo plane simulated in zero gravity, they're tumbling and colliding with debris as the plane spirals downward. Very dangerous stunt, but also very controlled. And they executed this in what's called a vomit comet. That's an aircraft that creates zero gravity through parabolic dives. So the plane dives, and for I think it's under 30 seconds, they can film a scene. They did this in Apollo 13. So you don't have much time to film a scene, so you have to actually do a bunch of these dives over and over and over again. It takes It took them months to do Apollo 13 because they could only shoot in like 20-second increments. Now, Cruise performed 64 takes over 2 days, tethered lightly to avoid floating out of the frame. He trained to move naturally in weightlessness, and during nausea and disorientation, so did the crew too. Everybody went through this. And safety included padded sets and harnesses, and they disguised the padded sets really well. For example, a lot of the bathroom sequence in Mission Impossible Fallout, much of that floor is padded, but it looks like real like porcelain or something. But most of that was padded. Now, although The Mummy underperformed, the stunt's unique zero-gravity setting impressed audiences, and I think that it was just absolutely the highlight of the movie, because in a film filled with CGI and visual effects, it had none.
Still looks good. It's honestly, the movie's forgettable, but that sequence alone, it's like kind of worth a price for a ticket to see it in theaters. It was very cool to see. Let's talk about a movie that's near and dear to our hearts, and we know a lot of the listeners as well. The Last Samurai, one of the last great epics to ever be made, maybe for an historical epic. It's a remarkable piece of filmmaking, but also stars Tom Cruise as Nathan Algren, who takes a job training officers in Japan for new leaders who want to finally kill and end the samurai in their reign. And Tom did months and months and months of extensive training, in addition to learning Japanese, but also sword fighting, sword play, combat, as well as horseback, and blending that all together. So sword fighting on the ground, but learning how to sword fight on a horse. Completely different. Combat on a horse, completely different than on the ground, obviously. Trained for 8 months in martial arts and Kenjutsu, as well as horseback riding for this, using real blunted swords. A lot of films will use blunted weapons, meaning they're not sharp. Well, they still have risks of injuring, bruising, even cutting if it's hit hard enough. A couple near misses for sure happened, but lots of padding, lots of armor. This is still very difficult stuff to pull off, especially if you haven't been doing it your whole life like samurai were. Combat on horses is very difficult. Riding horses in general is very difficult. And so I think just the fact that he's doing every single stunt on his own in this movie, including the sword play, is just really remarkable and so impressive.
Yeah, and he holds his own against a bunch of highly trained martial artists / actors like Hiroyuki Sanada, who has been a lifelong martial artist in those disciplines. And he did a great job sharing the screen with such an iconic, incredible warrior / actor, as well as Ken Watanabe and the rest of it. It's an incredible film. I love it. All right, let's get back into Mission Impossible. You know there's going to be a lot. Let's take it away with the first time Christopher McQuarrie directed one of the films. And it wouldn't be his last. We have Mission Impossible, Rogue Nation from 2015. And this is the iconic opening sequence where Tom Cruise hanged out the side of a fucking plane. It is memified beautifully. So in this film, this is the opening sequence. We're introduced to the crew, and they're tracking a shipment of nerve gas on a plane. As it's taking off from the runway, Ethan Hunt tries to get into the plane but can't open the door. So he's basically stuck holding on to the holes in the door while Benji's opening the incorrect shaft, leaving Ethan Hunt stuck with his hands gripped to that door for dear life as the plane takes off and ascends. And this, Tom Cruise was secured by a harness, obviously, and he gripped the sword of its Airbus A400M. It accelerated and took off, reaching speeds of 184 miles per hour and reached an altitude of 5,000 feet, almost an entire mile. He had to hang on for several minutes each take, enduring intense wind forces and turbulence, plus the dangers of debris hitting him in the face and impairing him or physically hurting him seriously. The sequence in the film showed Ethan's desperate struggle to board this plane. The stunt was performed 8 times. Multiple risks were hypoxia, extreme wind pressure, and bird strikes. You see bird strikes like in Indiana Jones and Last Crusade, taking out an entire plane. Imagine if that hit Tom. Apparently, Tom Cruise reportedly passed out during one take due to the intensity of the effect. For training, Tom Cruise trained to withstand extreme wind forces and maintained his grip strength. What's this guy's grip strength? Like that grip strength measurer thing that you grip. What could he get on that? I wonder. Someone has to give him that. He practiced in a wind tunnel to simulate the plane's speed and built incredible core and upper body strength to endure the prolonged strain. For safety, he wore custom contact lenses to protect his eyes from debris and wind, as standard goggles would have been impractical for filmmaking. His harness was hidden under his costume with cables anchored inside the plane. The stunt exposed Cruise to winds over 184 miles per hour. This is absolutely insane. And to keep things as safe as possible, they maintained the plane at a low altitude to decrease the chance of collisions. Unbelievable effect, and I think that this is one of the most jaw-dropping moments that entire year in cinema, if not the.
It's a really fun opening sequence, too, and there's a lot of humor blended in with Benji not opening the right door and then opening the right door finally, and Tom just flies into the plane. It's got great humor. But also the shot of him running on the wing of a plane. That's a crazy stunt, too. That's a crazy stunt. And let's stay on Rogue Nation because there's a few other really remarkable sequences in this film for stunt work with Tom Cruise involving the underwater breath hold. Now, in the film, Ethan Hunt has to access this submerged vault for getting a specific digital file that's crucial to stopping the syndicate in this movie. And in order to do this, he has to dive. In the film, they say he has to go underwater and hold his breath for 2 minutes in this cooling system to get the right files so that Benji can go through the security system himself as well at the same time. And this is to avoid triggering these security sensors. They have to go into the cooling center. Now, Tom Cruise really does this. And they built a massive underwater tank with green screen walls, but also a lot of the stuff that he's interacting with was actually real and practical. For example, the sections where he's actually pulling the hard drive or the giant floppy disks and pulling them in and out of, that was actually practically built, as well as the mechanical arms that are spinning. And this shot was done in continuous single takes. You kind of have to because Tom's holding his breath for 6 minutes. And he's obviously got a lot of safety around him in terms of divers with oxygen tanks on standby for any time that he needs to abort a sequence or needs some oxygen to catch a breath. He trained with free divers for weeks, as well as learning different breathing techniques to be able to hold his oxygen supply in his body for a long period of time, because holding your breath for a long period of time is very impressive, but doing it while swimming, performing stunts, and even just acting takes a lot of mental energy and oxygen energy as well. So all these things going on at the same time while holding his breath is so, so impressive. This was done in Leavesden Studios in UK. Love the stunts. High suspense, high risk, and Tom is just remarkable. He's the best.
I held my breath for 3 minutes once, but I was lying in bed.
I have a belly button.
Hey, 3 minutes is a long time, man.
It is a long time. It is a long time.
You know what? I'm proud of myself for it.
We're all proud. We're all proud of you, Anthony.
But I was why?
What was the point? For curiosity?
Oh, it's just it's Wim Hof.
Okay, so the breathing.
You know
methods.
Wim Hof? Yeah, the breathing techniques. So, when you do a session, you can challenge yourself if you want to hold your breath longer.
Do you still practice it?
Off and on. Next up, we have a jump in Mission Impossible 3, directed by J.J. Abrams. We have an action sequence that takes place in the city of Shanghai. And Tom Cruise base jumped. He base jumped off the 53-foot story. 53-story, not foot story. The 53-story tall Bank of China Tower. There's not much information about this stunt. He did do this part. The rest of the sequence, however, is a blend of visual effects as well as soundstage work. He actually does a fulcrum swing throughout the course of the rest of the scene. He swings from one building, the one he jumped off of, he swings onto another building. That was his idea of getting from one building to the other. However, I don't know why I couldn't find it in the research. Maybe the government, the city, whatever, he was not allowed to do the stunt entirely practically. So he did do the base jump practically, but the rest of it was done away from that actual set. And you can tell from the sequence, there's way more editing from a typical Tom Cruise stunt sequence. But it still looks great, but for some reason, they wouldn't let him do the fulcrum swing for real.
That's really interesting.
He wanted to do it, but they wouldn't let him.
I forgot about that stunt, too. I haven't seen Mission Impossible 3 in a while, but I do remember it's pretty good. But I think just the last 4 have just been so exceptional. It kind of shadows number 2 and number 3.
Yeah.
Number 2 has some really great stunts as well, but it's so fantastical. It kind of doesn't feel like a typical normal Mission Impossible film, if that makes sense.
Because it's a Hong Kong action movie.
Yeah. Like the
John
motorcycle,
Woo. Yeah.
like face the chicken race with the motorcycles, and they jump in the air, and the motorcycles explode, and then they go diving onto the beach. I'm like, this is crazy shit, man. I love it. How about we take a little break? We have another massive jump to talk about, but let's jump to our intermission, and we'll talk more about Tom Cruise's craziest stunts. And before we continue, the best way to support Raiders of the Lost podcast is to leave those 5-star... No, it's to become a patron today at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost podcast. There you can find different tiers of membership, whichever one's best for your wallet. Each has different sets of perks that you get. The better they are with the higher tier you subscribe to. Perks include weekly bonus episode access, as well as access to the ad-free version of every single episode, access to our Discord, free merchandise, all kinds of stuff. Thank you to everyone who has become a patron, past, present, and future. Another great way to support the show. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Spotify and Apple. They're so helpful for us charting on podcast platforms, for people discovering us on the feeds and the home pages of Spotify, Apple, etc. I love to read written reviews on the show and immortalize people forever on an episode. So I'll get to one of those in just a minute. Subscribing on YouTube is so helpful as well, but also engaging with our content. We make so much every single day. Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube. We're constantly posting. Everyone who leaves comments, liking, sharing our Instagram reels or posts in your stories, that's so helpful for our discovery, for new people who didn't know we existed. You know, friends of yours, family who see your story posts of a cool video we made. We love that. It helps draw people to our show so that we can be as big as possible. Organic traffic is best for a podcast with sharing. So share episodes, share content, share posts with all those people you love who loves movies and TV.
This episode, of course, is sponsored by our amazing friends at movieposters.com. Look at that incredible Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning poster behind James. That thing is backlit with this beautiful frame. You can get both the poster and the backlit frame at movieposters.com, the number one place for all your poster needs. Always use our promo code Raiders10 to get 10% off every order, as well as the affiliate link in the description of this episode and our social media bios. That gives us a little cut of the action. Movieposters.com has a gigantic selection of pretty much every film and TV show imaginable in the poster library, from your favorite modern Hollywood blockbusters like Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning or Sinners or Thunderbolts, to your favorite Hollywood classics and even a bunch of international posters and alternate prints of your favorite movies. They have a really amazing collection of rare original lobby cards, original poster prints of Hollywood classics that are very valuable collector's items for all of you film collectors out there. So for all of your poster needs, always go to movieposters.com, use the promo code Raiders10 to get 10% off your orders, and our affiliate link. Let's move in to the intermission.
All right, let's begin with the movie quote competition. You ready, Anthony?
Ready.
Here we go. I'm not afraid of death, but I don't want to be there when it happens.
No idea. No idea.
Annie Hall.
Of course. He's terrible. Yeah. He's so neurotic. Mine has two people talking. Here we go. Don't run. You don't have to chase me. You don't have to run. Everybody runs, Fletch. Everybody runs.
Oh, what is it? Say it one more time.
You don't have to run. You don't have to chase me. Oh, wait, hold on, sorry. Don't run. You don't have to chase me. You don't have to run. Everybody runs, Fletch. Everybody runs.
Crap, I can't think of it. Oh, God damn it, what is it?
Minority Report.
Oh my gosh.
Tom and Neil McDonough in the
Everybody
in the
Runs.
alley. Everybody Runs.
Guess this
Fucking
movie
good.
release year, Anthony. About time.
2014.
2013.
Wow. What year did Interview with the Vampire come out?
1994.
Oh, you got it.
Let's
You
go.
got it.
Let's go.
You got it.
Okay, here we go. Movie pop quiz time. What is the name of the fictional newspaper where Holly Golightly reads of her ex-husband in Breakfast at Tiffany's?
Can you say it again?
What is the name of the newspaper where Holly Golightly reads about her ex-husband in Breakfast at Tiffany's?
There's literally a Breakfast at Tiffany's poster here. I was looking at it to see if it was there. I have no idea.
The New York Times.
What was Tom Cruise's first leading role?
Legend?
No.
Risky Business?
Correct.
Nice.
But also, you got it wrong first. You get half a point. Then Risky Business. It was a huge box office hit, over 100 million at the box office in like 1984 or something, and he just blew up. It was a big sensation.
When did Legend come out? Because he's so young in that.
Shortly after that, I think 86 or something.
85 next year.
Oh, yeah, next year. Damn. Then he did Color of Money.
What a career.
Top Gun, Color of Money. Man. Let me pull up our unsubscribes for today.
Yeah, pull that up, and I'm going to pull up a 5-star written review on Apple Podcasts, which anyone can leave, and we love to read out on the show.
All right, so for anyone who wants to either fact check us or just grill us, make a great joke, feel free to leave an unsubscribed comment anywhere. Social media, Spotify, YouTube. I'll find it. I will find it, and I'll read it on this show. First up, we got Tommy Stark on Movie News. So I didn't win that cool Raiders cap? Unsubscribed! Sorry. Gareth won, all the way out in the UK. Reed Il-Ah. Double Feach? Unsubscribed. Also, the inclusion of 28 Days Later of Godspeed You Black Emperor was inspired. Incredible music. Next up, Zoe Old Gamer. So, on Movie News, Godzilla x Kong Supernova is releasing March 26, 2025? Tell me, how's it going to be released in the past, guys? Fail to do it, and I'll unsubscribe.
Whoops.
Next up, Lightning Monk on our 28 Years Later episode. Love this episode, fellas. Just watched 28 Weeks Later for the first time and loved it. Can't wait for the new movie. I'm super hyped now after 28 Weeks Later. Unsubscribed. Thanks, man. Trip F. Elliott makes a segment for The Long Walk, but doesn't look up the full synopsis of the novel. No mention of Mark Hamill at all. Then you overlook the fact that this adaptation has been eagerly awaited by constant readers since the 1980s, just to compare it to Squid Games. Guys, unsubscribed. Sorry, Trip. I'm sure it's gonna be great.
Anthony said Squid Games.
That was all me. I'm guilty of doing all that, I will admit. Daniel Ote. Speaking of days later, this is 8 days later from me unsubscribing every day until the eyeballs of Jim and Tony view the absolute pleasure of a film that is Now You See Me. Well, guess what, Daniel? I watched it the other day, and it was fun. James,
Oh, no way.
still waiting on you.
Still waiting on me.
Still waiting on you. I'm off the hook, Daniel. I'm off the hook. All right, Luke. Yes, the term is part of the slang in what the Sigma Glad to see you guys are learning the modern language. Also, unsubscribe for doubting it, James. Or maybe that was Anthony. I don't know.
I still can't. I'm still confused about what we were even talking about that day, but I think they're spot on probably.
You're still confused? I thought I explained it to you.
I don't want to get into this again.
We were talking about
I don't
herb.
want to get into this again.
We were talking
Just
about
move
herb.
on. Just move on. We did 3 episodes talking about this.
All right, Levi. Talking about the best twist movies and no mention of Now You See Me? Unsubscribed! That's because I had not watched it at the time of recording that episode. But now I would put it in there. Definitely. It does have a good twist. When you from Storm. When you finally call an actual Danish film Danish, you almost switched it to Swedish? Good thing you caught up because I would have had to unsubscribe again.
It's a bad habit we have.
The Girl with the Needle. I said it was Danish, then I was like, wait, is it Swedish? And then I was like, no, it is Swedish.
No, it's Danish.
Oh, and James, yeah, it's Danish. Finally, we have a trivia question from Adam. Adam says, who is the only person to have an Oscar and an Olympic medal? James? Oscar and an Olympic medal.
That's a really good question. Huh. Oscar and an Olympic medal. Let me think.
I'll give you 5 seconds.
I'm guessing it's someone for documentary. I don't know.
You're right about that. Will that help you?
Oh, Kobe Bryant.
Correct. He won Best Short Documentary.
No, it's Best Short Film.
Best Short Documentary.
Documentary?
Is it a short film or is it?
No, it's a short film. It's not a documentary about. It's not a documentary about anything. It's about his love for basketball.
You're right. It is a short film.
Yeah, it's a short film.
Cool question, Adam. Though that was a tough one.
That was a good one. I got there though. Is that all you got for unsubscribes?
That's all we got, guys.
All right, let's
Good
check
ones
out.
this week.
We got a 4-star review. Haven't had one of those in a while, but it's okay.
Still
We
good.
understand. It's still a good rating. But 4-star review from Straight Punch, The Time Machine.
Ugh.
Just subscribe to your show. Thank you so much. I agree with all your top 30. Perplexed where Blade Runner is, as well as Forbidden Project. So they must have tuned to
30 sci-fi films.
I'm not sure what episode they're referring to, but they must have just. It might have been that. They didn't say specifically which one it was. But it might have been the sci-fi one. But if it was sci-fi, I feel like we would have had Blade Runner on there.
Yeah, I feel like we would have had Blade Runner. I think we had Blade Runner at number 2.
Yeah, so I think it was probably
we have
probably one of the best
list.
one of the best movie lists of all time. Who knows? But Straight Punch, thanks for going on Apple Podcasts and leaving a review. Even though it's 4 stars, we still appreciate the effort and for subscribing. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into our streaming recommendations. Anthony, what do you got?
Fairly recent horror film from a year ago. The First Omen. It's pretty good, and it's on Hulu. It's pretty good.
I'm recommending Possession, which is streaming on Shudder.
That's more than pretty good.
Pretty good. All right, let's get into more Tom Cruise stunts. We just talked about a base jump, but how about we talk about the famous Halo jump in Mission Impossible Fallout? You know, in context here, Ethan Hunt and August Walker, they're about to go try to find the guy they're looking for, and they have to jump from a plane to stealthily crash a party, basically. And in order to enter undetected, they perform a halo jump at night, navigating a thunderstorm to land precisely on a building's rooftop. Now, the stunt Tom did, Henry didn't jump out of the plane. Henry, little trick of the camera, runs behind camera. His stunt guy jumps before Tom does. And Tom really did jump out with a camera guy from a C-17 military transport plane at 25,000 feet, free-falling, about 165 to 200 miles per hour for over 2 minutes.
Jesus.
Not only is he doing that, but he's interacting with the camera, acting, which was very well rehearsed, of course, and also simulated a mid-air collision with the camera operator who was doubling as Walker. Now, this is so incredible because Tom's pulling his parachute also at 1,800 feet. This was filmed in a single continuous shot. It was shot during dusk for dramatic lighting. And it's just really incredible. The camera guy has a helmet-mounted camera, plus a couple aerial rigs to capture this incredible stunts. It's just one of the most impressive things I've ever seen in a film. Obviously, the danger of falling to your death is there, plus extreme cold at such a extreme cold at that altitude. It's roughly about negative 40 degrees Fahrenheit, which is freezing in Celsius. Not sure what it is. Plus low oxygen levels. He trained Tom Cruise to prevent hypoxia risks and maintain control during this free fall. They did this hundreds of times over the course of several months to get it right, and they could really only do it once at a time every day. They tried to shoot it, so really impressive stunt.
Man, the dedication to do it that many times, just for this one sequence, it's incredible. I remember just getting that wonder of him diving out and then getting right up to the camera's face. Did you see the snorri cam rig that he and the team developed for the new film that they released a video of?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they built this new snorri cam for him to wear while he's skydiving to capture the images right there with him. So
I wouldn't call it skydiving. I would call it falling out of a plane. Because that's what he's simulating. He's not like being maneuvered. He's literally it's fucking great.
I can't wait to see that whole sequence, man. I'm dying to see that plane sequence. It's gonna be insane. IMAX. Oh my god. All right, let's get into Days of Thunder, his second collaboration with the late great Tony Scott, and this is his race car movie. Where, you know what? To prep for this film, he became a real-life race car driver. Tom Cruise spent months prepping with actual competitive racing. He became a real race car driver for Nissan, which at the time was owned by Paul Newman, who was a decades-long race car driver himself. He raced all his life. He actually won 4 car races in the showroom stock category. And then after that, he began racing full-size NASCAR stock cars for real. These are real competitions, real drivers with him, and he won 4 of them, as well as finished pretty well in a bunch of other races. He competed in a total of 16 races in real competitions.
It's like Tom Hardy winning that jiu-jitsu competition. It's like you're going against, I got to go against fucking Tom Cruise in a race. It's like he smokes you. It's wild. Unbelievable.
This is 30 years ago. It's crazy.
Let's go back to Mission Impossible, and a stunt that I think kind of flies under the radar because of the other massive stunts in the film for The Final Reckoning is the speed flying. This happens at the tail end of his escape after the jump off the dirt bike. Happens at the end of the movie, and Tom Cruise is performing speed flying that has a high risk. It's a high risk hybrid of paragliding and skydiving, navigating through narrow valleys, speeds up to 50 miles per hour, and he has to land precisely on a moving train. You know, this requires expert control to avoid crashing into the train, especially in those tight places. And Tom trained for months, as always, for every stunt he does. And I would just love to see what this guy's daily schedule is like when he's not doing marketing for a movie, because he has to train for so many stunts probably every day for several months leading up to filming. It's just absurd what this guy's schedule and repertoire of a day-to-day activity is.
The world is literally his playground, if you think about it.
Kind of, yeah.
He's turned the world into his playground. Did you see him on top of the BFI building?
Yeah.
They dropped the video. It was a drone when he announced the film and said, "Light the fuse," and then the drone flies backwards thousands of feet. And he's just on top of the building in the middle of the day. It's amazing. But you know what fuels him?
What?
He has a giant breakfast every day.
Oh, really?
He says he has a huge breakfast, eggs, sausage, lots of coffee, tons of protein and carbs for all the energy and fuel that he burns throughout the day, doing all of these training regimens for different things. So that's how he gets his energy, is a huge breakfast in the morning.
Nice. I have a huge breakfast every morning too, but not that big. I'm going to have to step up my game, have some more coffee or something.
I might have to start. Yeah, I started having bigger breakfasts last week, and I feel good energy-wise.
But it's not like I'm training to jump out of a plane. But no, but I'm 100% a breakfast guy. I do eggs, butter, toast every morning.
Yeah, I see you do that, man. You're killing it
every day.
I'm a big yogurt guy. Yogurt and nuts and berries.
Yeah, I see that.
Anyways, enough about our breakfast routines, guys. We're here to talk about Tom Cruise.
Yeah, we're not him.
We're not
that guy.
No. Let's talk about the sexiest Mission Impossible movie. Mission Impossible 2 from 2000 from John Woo. Weakest entry in the franchise, however, it does have a lot of style and some really cool sequences, as well as a banging score from Hans Zimmer. Oh my god, the Spanish guitar. The film opens with an iconic rock climbing sequence where Tom Cruise free climbed a sheer cliff in Utah's Dead Horse Point, for real, hanging by his fingertips without a safety net for some of the shots, secured only by a thin cable. The stunt was demanded extreme physical strength and mental focus, with a fatal fail possible if his grip ever failed. Fatal fall possible. Sorry, if his grip ever failed. This set the tone for Cruise's stunt career going forward. And I think that makes a lot of sense because he's using a huge natural environment. This is not a thing that they built, not a thing they rigged, not a thing that was highly controlled like the CIA vault, like the aquarium set, like the train on the soundstage. We're out in the real world, we're on a real rock face, and we're doing the stunt on that. So you don't have complete control over the elements for the first time in his career. So I think that this definitely paved the way forward for him to be like, you know what? I can do better than that. I can go bigger. What else can I use in the sandbox that is the world to do these huge sequences?
And I'm guessing, I think this is the last movie that Tom ever used a stunt double for, because there is a double in some of the shots for the sequence of him climbing in the opening of the movie. And I don't know if there are any stunt doubles used for the motorcycle driving or any other sequences in this movie for Mission Impossible 2, but there is a double in some of the shots for the cliff climb.
That might be because you need someone who's been training for like 10, 15 years to be able to do maybe a couple of those things.
No, yeah, but also I think they did some shots without the wires, and without the wires, they had a stunt guy in there.
Gotcha.
And to stay on Mission Impossible 2, there's also a great knife stunt. Now, in this scene, a knife is held 1/8 of an inch from Cruise's eye. For those who are on the metric system, like less than a centimeter, like half a centimeter maybe.
What the fuck?
Controlled by a cable attached to an off-screen weight to ensure precision. This is so crazy because, I mean, you could permanently blind yourself. You can cut your eye open if the cable fails, but you have to have complete trust in your crew. And obviously, Tom has to have an incredible ability to perform under pressure in a high-stakes situation. So that's an insane stunt to me.
1/8 of an inch?
1/8 of an inch.
Oh, my... Jesus, it's like... that's like... Oh, my God. I don't think my floss is that thick.
Your floss is...
No, I have, like, tape floss.
1/8 of an inch is not that small. It's tight, but, like, 1/8 of an inch is, like, a little less than a centimeter, probably. Like, I would say it's... You got really thick floss if it's 1/8 of an inch.
No, it's not string floss. It's tape floss, so it's, like, flat, you know?
No, I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. Wow.
Well,
crazy stuff. I can't believe that. All right, next up. We're bringing it to Top Gun. The original. The parachute scene flies under the radar. And this is the scene where Goose and Maverick eject from their jet and parachute down into the water, which leads to, spoiler alert, Goose's death. However, this stunt didn't go as planned. While they were performing the scene, Tom Cruise's parachute got so full of water that it sunk him down, into the water of the ocean. And if the crew had not been nearby and paid attention, they wouldn't have gotten to him in time to save his life. So, could have been maybe they weren't paying attention or were a little further away. He would have been pulled down by the parachute's weight and drowned in the water.
Yeah, someone who worked on the production, Barry Tubb, he said that Tom Cruise came as close to dying on that sequence than he's ever seen another actor almost die in a movie. So he legitimately, probably for all the times he's almost died, this was legitimately an almost death for Tom Cruise where he would have drowned. That's so scary. Let's go back to...
I think after that, he was like, I can do anything.
I wouldn't say that because it's not like he was something technical like jumping off a cliff. It's you almost got pulled down by water. You know what I mean? I don't think that's maybe because he cheated death, possibly. I don't know. But let's get into the motorcycle chase stunts in Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation. This has a great chase sequence. Ilsa takes off on a bike after she defibrillates Ethan, and he's like woozy all over the place. She takes out Benji real quickly, then she takes off with the discs that he just stole in the underwater sequence, and Ethan has to chase her, but then obviously gets on a motorcycle after the car crash, after they're saved by Jeremy Renner and Luther. Now, Cruise takes a motorcycle, and he's a very experienced driver, but this sequence of him chasing the other bikes and then Ilsa, he's going 100-plus miles per hour on these roads, tight turns, tight turning, maneuvering, pursuing cars, avoiding collisions, passing vehicles. Culminates in a great crash with Ethan on the ground after Ilsa steps out in front of her. It's really incredible, and he used a BMW S1000RR, which he trained on for months. It's a high-performance super bike, and it's just visually stunning to watch. Great camera mounting as well. I love the sequence. It's really incredible.
I thought that was an absolutely jaw-dropping moment of that film, and it was really like those low turns where he would just turn and the motorcycle and him would move within inches of the pavement. And seeing how faster they were going, the wind really blowing his hair so far back and really made you feel the speed. It was an incredible sequence, and I really love that sequence. I think it doesn't get as much love as it probably should, but it was so fun, so impressive. I love that stunt. All right, next up, we're heading into Mission Impossible Fallout yet again. Location, London. And this is where Ethan sprints across rooftops, leaps between buildings, and climbs a rope to evade pursuers. However, during one of the jumps, he miscalculates, and Tom Cruise slams into a building, breaking his ankle, but still continuing the take. You can see all sorts of behind-the-scenes footage of this. We've posted clips about it, of him basically shattering his ankle, climbing up onto the ledge, and continuing his run, albeit not as quickly or as agile, with as much agility as before, but still finishing that take and powering through it. This entire sequence was filmed on real London rooftops, and Cruise performed the chase without any harnesses for most of the shots, relying on his sprinting speed and agility. The jump was staged with a crash map below, but the high leap and the real injury was underscored the real injury and the risk. He trained in rooftop parkour to ensure fluid movement. The broken ankle, captured in the final film, showcases Cruise's refusal to stop despite injury, earning praise from fans all over the world, beautifully captured on IMAX film. I love this. I love this behind-the-scenes video.
All right, let's talk about one more. And it's a fun one from the original Mission Impossible, the Aquarium Explosion. Right after the red light, green light gum, Ethan throws that gum against the aquarium wall, and the glass shatters, and 16 tons of water bear down on Tom Cruise. Any delay could have possibly meant Tom Cruise severely injured or drowning possibly with all this water, but it's really great. It's a signature shot, signature run. It's a great escape, and a lot of fun. surprisingly dangerous.
This
too.
is what. Yeah, I mean, this one's all about timing. Where you got to time your jump and your run at the right time so that it looks good for the shot. And they had done it before, a different take with a stunt double, and Brian De Palma wasn't happy with it and didn't think it looked suspenseful enough. But this is where, Tom Cruise is a great actor. He really sells the danger in all these moments. You see it on his face. You feel like, oh my God, he's about to die. And so he performed the stunt. And this is like, with Mission Impossible, the first one was where he started doing way more of his stunts. They still had a lot of stunt double work in that film, but he was doing a lot of it. And this was, I think, a major step forward for him, being like, I should do this all because I can sell it better. You get me in the frame. You don't have to cut around it. And you just get this beautiful shot of me in the moment with the water behind him. And it's incredible. It's funny because it looks, you could be like, oh, is that CGI? But no, it was made in 1996. No CGI was that good. It's all for real. And I think it's such a fun moment, such a fun scene. And it just really works on every level.
Sure does. And man, we are just a week away basically from the final reckoning. By the time this episode airs, we might have seen it early. I'm not sure when exactly we're going to get our invites. But you can bet your butt that very soon on the show, so the Monday following the release of the final reckoning, we will be dropping our episode on it. That date will be... Let me check the schedule. May 26th.
May 23rd, 26th. Nice.
That Monday.
I'm going to be seeing it on the 21st.
Oh, you're seeing it on the 21st? Cool. I'm
Yeah.
seeing it probably like the 18th or 19th or something like that.
Yeah.
But man, I can't wait to talk about it. I can't wait to see it. The spectacle and the stunts. Tom Cruise, we've loved so much, and he puts his life on the line for our entertainment. And you all better get your butts in the theater. This is going to be the final Mission Impossible movie, probably. The Final Reckoning. If you love Tom Cruise or you just respect what he's done, go see this movie. It's a very expensive film, so it needs a huge box office to turn a profit. But man, this is Tom. Mission Impossible. What a legend. Never again will someone be what he has become and continues to be. Goodness.
Dude, he's going to space soon. He's just getting started. He's just getting started. He's going to space.
Going to space, baby.
A lot of people want him to do smaller dramatic roles, but I'm like, he's going to space.
Yeah, he's done plenty.
Go to space, man.
Go watch Born on the 4th of July. There's so many drama movies he's done that you probably have never seen. Just go watch those. We don't, the Iñárritu movie for sure, I'm sure will be a very dramatic performance, but I'm very interested in Tom Cruise going to space. That's going to be fun. Sign me up.
Yeah, he's at this level where it's like, I am just pushing forward what movie making is. Just keep going, man. Full throttle. Just keep pushing it, because I'll be there. I'll run to the theater like how Tom runs in movies.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to become a patron today at patreon.com/Raiders of the Lost Podcast. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews on Spotify and Apple. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Engage with our content. Leave those comments, likes, shares. And take care.
See you next time.